It is 6:31 p.m. and call this meeting to order. Please stand and we will recite the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Winona City Council, and for the first time since March 2020, is being held in person with all members present. As we are no longer operating under the state emergency procedures, votes will be conducted on a voice call rather than a roll call, unless requested by a member. Tonight, I have a very special announcement for a retirement. The city wishes to recognize the service of police officer Eric Mueller, who retired on June 30th, 2021. Officer Mueller served for 20 years in the police department, beginning his career with the city of Winona on December 5th, 2000. Eric was one of the first officers in the Winona Police Department to become certified in crisis intervention techniques. He successfully orchestrated the safe apprehension of a man armed with a knife several years ago. The person had crawled up on playground equipment, and Officer Mueller successfully interacted with the subject to gain peaceful compliance. Eric has a love of animals and has served him well on patrol duty. He has fostered a number of animals over the years, including the famous Brett the goat that was stolen, painted, and held captive in the back of a car. Eric volunteered to care for that traumatized goat after the incident. That says a lot about a person. Yes. Eric served as community liaison officer and was the leader and founder of the Honor Guard unit for many years. He is well liked by his coworkers, and they appreciated his fearlessness and calm demeanor during tense situations. The city appreciates Officer Eric Mueller's 20 years of service, and we wish him a long, healthy, and happy retirement. Eric, if you'd come up, I'd like to present you with this certificate. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service, Eric. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. And now we'll have comments from the city manager, Steve. Sorry.
I regret not knowing about the ghosts, or maybe someday. I have nothing. Thank you, Your Honor. Other than it's good to see everybody back.
Absolutely. This is a reminder that the public is not allowed to speak during these agenda items unless you have a request before the council and I've given the commission. I will now ask the city clerk to take a roll call.
Mayor Scott Sherman.
Here.
Councilman Young.
Here.
Moeller. Here. Alexander. Here. Iden. Here. Wojciechowski.
Here.
Rapinski.
Here.
And we will be moving up item 3.9 to reschedule the car show for Steamboat Days. And I think Jim Rumlinger is here if you have questions, but the new date for the car show would be Saturday, July 24th.
I'm Shaw, going to make a motion to approve that request. Second, although you probably won't need my name.
I'll
take it. A year.
No,
I need the help.
Okay.
Motion by Michelle, second by Eileen. Any discussion?
I just want to say thank you to Jim and his family and everyone that's all involved in the car show. It's a great event that's been taking place for how many years now? 11 years, so very, very good. Thank you. And it definitely brings business to the downtown area. Those hotels as well too, so thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Any other comments or discussion? I'd like to reiterate what George said. I caught Jim out in the hallway, and again, thank you for doing that. I get to see my old car every year, so it's really nice to do that. So thanks again. Any other discussion or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes.
Moving on to item 3.13, the Winona Lions Club proposal for the Every Child's Dream Shelter.
I'm Michelle Alexander, make a motion to direct staff to reestablish the Recreation Development Fund, Every Child's Dream at the Winona Community Foundation. Second.
We have a motion by Michelle, second by Eileen. Any discussion? We do have Jack Craig and Jim Friesel here.
I'd like to say a few words.
First time I've been to a mic that's shorter than me. I got a good one. Also, we have Nancy Bolts here at the Rivertown Alliance. All of our Alliance projects, or not all of them, but our major Alliance projects are cooperative agreement of all three Alliance folks. Winona Noon, Winona Rivertown, and Winona Sunset Alliance. So we all work together even though we're different classes. I'd like to give you just a short rundown. We were told time is short originally, but so I won't talk like I normally do. Of the contributions that the Winona Alliance collectively have given to the Winona community. For one, you all are aware of the Alliance Pavilion, as we call it, the European Alliance Pavilion, that is on Hamilton Street. We raised the funds for that, the city built it, and some years later, Mayor came to us, Mayor Johnson, and asked us, since the usage had increased so much on that pavilion, would we be willing to fund the expansion of it, and we did that. After the Rotary Club raised the funds for the bike path, which I think is a fantastic contribution to the city, we donated the waste receptacles around because garbage obviously was tossed around and helped beautify the place. We helped raise the funds for the Gilmore Valley Playground, which is a smaller playground. They had no place for kids to play there. So we donated those funds. Before I joined the club, so it's been many years, I've been Alliance since '95, we donated the St. Charles ball fields, the Richard ball fields. And just recently we noticed that the signs were pretty bad. And so we bought 2 new Alliance logos and the park department put up 2 new signs, which was pretty good. And then our banner project that we are most proud of, and so is the city of Winona, is a Every Child's Dream, which we set out a 3-year program, which became 5 years. Part of that was because of the high water and so on. And part of it was because the costs kept going up. But it's something that we are extremely proud of. And I want to thank you for supporting us in that. And now our next phase will be explained by Jim. So all of you have been down by the park, seen it being used. See a lot of nods here. It's just amazing every time I go down there. There's so many kids. But there's one thing, probably more than one, but a major thing that's lacking, and that is a nice shelter that could be put behind the park or alongside the park, where people can go and have picnics. I mean, people come with bus loads. Now, amazing. And so what we've been talking about, talking to Chad a lot about it, is putting in a pavilion that will be located just north of the playground. And that pavilion will be big enough for 12 picnic tables. Be an open pavilion, pretty much like the other pavilions. It'll be a nice place for people, another scale. So coming here, asking for you to approve so that we can go ahead and raise funds and pay small donations.
Thank you. Go ahead, Michelle.
I just want to say that thank you. These are my favorite projects when we collaborate with other organizations in the community, when people partner with us to make things happen. I have to say that it's one of the most beautiful playgrounds I've ever seen. My nieces and nephews love it. To them, it's almost like going to Valley Fair because it's so well done. I think having a pavilion there would be the perfect addition to that part of the park. It's very sunny. And sometimes as a parent who's tired of chasing around a 2-year-old, you just want to sit down somewhere in the shade. So I think that's the perfect compliment. And I hope that when we approve this tonight, that it's the first step in starting that fundraising process. And I think the people of Winona are pretty generous, and I doubt you'll have no problem raising the funds you need to build that pavilion. But thank you for taking the lead on both of these projects.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I too wanted to thank you guys. I just wanted to tee off a comment that Jerry had made about a smaller park that and put together in Gilmore Valley. My kids play in that park, have played for years and years in that park. I watched that park, live across the street from it, and a great place to be able to easily and safely send my kids across that street over to that park. Used far more than you can believe. Hundreds of kids have used that over the years, so thank you.
Questions? I'd like to reiterate Steve and Michelle's comments. I have a 1 and a 3-year-old. I also have a 19-year-old. So I got to play on the old playground and the new one. And really, truly, I want to
Other comments or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving back to item 3.1, reappointments to the Heritage Preservation Commission.
I, Michelle Alexander, move approval of those appointments.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle, a second from Eileen. Any comments or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.2 is an appointment to the Citizens Environmental Quality Committee.
I, Michelle Alexander, move approval of those appointments.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle, a second from Eileen. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.3 is a Black Party street closure request.
I, Michelle Alexander, move approval of that request.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle, a second from Eileen. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.4 are the requests for the KCC 2021.
I, Michelle Alexander, move approval of those requests, although it's a little selfish of me to do so.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, a second from Eileen. Any discussion? Go ahead, George.
I just want to thank Michelle and the whole group that has worked on this, and it's a continuing process. It was set to go and then it couldn't go, and it's good to see all the hard work, and thank you and the rest of the committee very much for that. So
Absolutely.
I'll pass that on. They'll appreciate that.
Any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.5 is a temporary wine and malt liquor licenses for the Winona International Friendship Association for 3 temporary on-sale wine licenses.
George moves to approve those licenses.
Second.
Motion by George, second from Aaron. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.6 is a temporary wine and malt liquor license for the Big Muddy Brew and Q.
I, Michelle Alexander, move approval of those licenses.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle, a second from Eileen. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.7 is a temporary wine and malt liquor license for Cotter Schools.
I move approval of that request.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle, a second from Eileen. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.8 is the application for an on-sale intoxicating liquor license for Peter's Beer Garden.
George moves to approve that liquor application.
I'll second.
How do we do this? We have a motion from George, a second from everyone else. I'll just take Pam on this one. Second from Pam. Any discussion? We'll start with Eileen.
I'm so happy this is happening. Yay.
Michelle?
As a person who has a building next door, thank you. It's beautiful. It looks wonderful. Thank you.
City Manager Steve Sarvey.
I'm not sure the zoning's right. Did you check on that before? Okay.
Carlos, Dania, great job. I've stopped down a few times. I've talked to you. Excellent job. We're really happy to see this happen. So great job of a space that was just sitting there for a few years. So good utilization of that. Thank you. Any other comments or discussion?
I just have a question
Go
for
ahead.
Carlos. When is your grand opening?
We're hoping to open by the end of July.
All right.
Oh,
All right, we'll be watching.
Thanks, Carlos. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
I would remind the council that item 3.10 has been withdrawn by the applicant. And so we will move to item 3.11, which is the request for a four-way stop at the intersection of 5th and Kansas Street.
I, Michelle Alexander, make a motion to deny the attached ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle, a second from Steve. Any discussion?
yeah, Mayor, George.
Go ahead, George.
I'm going to support this request. As I talked with Ryan on this, yes, he gave us the engineer's report by all means, but the building of the new St. Martin's School, which is on that corner, the people that are voting against it tonight, I'd be right along with you. But this is a school zone where this school exists, and Ryan and I have talked about this. I say you put his report in. I am supporting this because of the school. It's the elementary school that's on that corner. Just as we did down by WK, the elementary school, we stop signed those two corners. And a big thank you from all the folks in that neighborhood for the council doing that.
Thank you, George. Any other comments or questions?
Mayor, Aaron, I second George's opinion on that.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Aaron. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Nay. That was
9, yeah.
Yep. 4-3? Okay. Motion denied.
And who is the third no?
No, motion passes, right?
Motion passes.
Motion
Sorry.
passes.
So Rapinski, Borzakowski, and who is the third no?
Me.
Okay.
What did Pam vote for or against?
Pam, what was your vote?
My vote was for the refusal of the stop.
For the refusal of it.
Okay.
So that's just okay.
Okay.
If I could just make a comment on that. So I do agree that schools are special cases and they deserve special consideration. So let's keep our eyes on this one and come back to this if necessary.
Thank you, Pam.
Moving on to item 3.12 is the docking request from the American Queen Steamboat Company.
I make a motion to approve that document request.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle, a second from Eileen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Moving on to unfinished business, item 4.1 is to award the contract for the bridge replacement on Westlake Boulevard. The low bidder was Minowa Construction of Harmony, Minnesota, with a bid of $159,480.15.
I, Michelle Alexander, make a motion to adopt the attached resolution awarding the contract to Minowa.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle, a second from Eileen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 4.2 is to award the contract for the 2021 sidewalk project to Schwab Construction with a bid of $89,327.
George moves to approve the attached resolution ordering the bid to Schwab.
We have a motion by George, a second from Pam. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 4.3 is to award the contract for the tree and brush site operations to Today's Tree Service.
I, Michelle Alexander, make a motion to adopt the attached resolution awarding the contract to Today's Tree Service.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle, a second from Eileen. Any discussion?
Mayor, Aaron here. Go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
Okay. I will not be supporting this contract as I did not support the RFP. As I look at this, this is a city service that the city provides for the taxpayers of the city of Winona. I think bidding this out, out of city, yes, we do that, but out of state, to the state of Wisconsin. We're sending city tax dollars down to the state of Wisconsin when we had a good operator of that facility as it stands right now. We're looking at a $7,000 difference. Yes, it's a lot of money. That money can be made up out of the storm water utility fund, which has a very, very healthy balance in it. A lot of people within the community would like to see where it is. And so I say, therefore, I am going to just continue to support the current operator that operated it. So I will be voting against the contract tonight. We just cannot go and send taxpayer money out of state for a city service that is provided for every tax-paying citizen in Winona. We just cannot do that. Only if it is our last actual move that we have to make.
Thank you, George. Any other comments?
Mayor, I'd like to mirror George's comments and also add in, at our last meeting, we did have a discussion and you actually made the comment about keeping things local, even though it may be a little bit more expensive, keep it local, keep things in the Winona community and stuff. And I thought about that and I thought this is a perfect example of that, but we still chose as a council, the majority chose to go outside of that. So I also will not be supporting this contract decision.
Very good. Thank you. Any other discussion? I'll defend my comments real quickly. I will always buy local when I can or when I think it's appropriate. In this case, I did not. I looked at all the proposals. I looked at them from an objective standpoint. Going through them, I saw an extremely professional outfit who came with a high recommendation from another municipality, someone who can literally turn and burn the material that they are receiving. And right now they're probably receiving more than they have in the entire 30 years that they've been in there. And yeah, I don't necessarily want those dollars going outside the city, but the other options that we had were not there. They're just not where I believe a contractor needs to be. They were good options, but they weren't great options. And when I looked at those proposals from an objective standpoint, that was the company that I chose. And, it's difficult. I'm friends with the Reed family. For me to vote against someone I know, that's extremely difficult. But at the same time, I also need to look at it as a citizen and as a representative of Winona. And in this case, I think we were best represented by going with the company that we were going to approve the contract with. So those are my reasons for going the way I did. Any other discussion or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Motion passes.
Under new business, item 5.1 is the American Rescue Plan Act grant.
I, Michelle Alexander, make a motion to adopt the attached resolution. Second.
We have a motion by Michelle and a second from Eileen. Go ahead.
Mr. Sardi, will we be having some discussion about how potentially this money may be used once we're awarded, know what we're awarded, how it might be used? Or do you have an idea already how it's going to be allocated in the budget process?
We'll need to bring it back to council because there'll be some choices that need to be made. We still don't have full clarity on what the money can be used for. So we're seeking that as well. The good news is that there's no real immediate burning need to use this money right away. So our recommendation would be let's wait a little bit. Let's see what the federal government works out. Jessica and Chad and I are plugged in, and Lucy as well, to every resource we can find. It's just, we sit down and compare notes and they contradict each other sometimes. So we just want to really make sure we're giving you good advice and recommendations for the money.
And I will admit, when you read it, it's very vague. You could take that a variety of ways and feel like you fit the parameters. That's why I was asking.
And there's still as we know in Washington, there's this struggle over what does the word infrastructure mean. And so while we would probably like to think streets are in that bucket, it's not. It's expressly sewer, water, and broadband So again, we need to let the process work itself through a little bit. Duluth has made some decisions, and so we're evaluating what they've come up with. And we just, again, we want to make sure that we're standing on as firm ground as possible when we have that conversation with council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Mr. Mayor, if I could ask, Mr. Sarvey, can you comment a little bit, and we've talked about this just a little bit. Some of this money may be provided to backfill some of our losses from COVID.
Financial, correct.
Right.
Non-tax revenue.
Okay.
So
any idea how much that is within $100,000?
No, not really. We know the campground was probably the largest loss.
Okay.
The pool was shut, some library funding. There may be some other sources.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Resolution passes.
Item 5.2 is the amendment to the food truck ordinance.
I, Michelle Alexander, make a motion to introduce the attached ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle and an enthusiastic second by Eileen. Any discussion?
Mayor?
Go ahead.
I just want to confirm from my detailed reading of the state's definition of what a mobile food unit is, it sounds like as long as the pizza man doesn't remove any of his structures from his rolling trailer, i.e. his burner, he could technically fall under this. And I want to make sure I read that correctly, because I think many of us have received that phone call over the years, is that he does not remove his burning mechanism or set anything on the ground. And what I read in here said that as long as it was readily removable and nothing was taken off of the trailer, it technically qualified as a mobile food unit. So I looked under the definitions 1 and 2. And if I'm incorrect, I would like us to find a way to correct that as part of my motion.
I believe that's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because he has been more than any other food truck person. I think over the years, I've received phone calls or emails from him and another individual like him. And it seems to me if he's that anxious to serve pizza to the community, that we should find a way to do that. So, okay, thank you, Steve.
And Mayor and Council, there were 2 issues. There was that issue that we needed clarity on, but the second was the brick and mortar, which was, I think, the biggest hurdle. So this will allow food trucks to start operating more freely in the city, and we'll just see what happens. We'll see if more come, and support the events, especially that we'll find in the community.
I'm so sorry. I have one more question.
Please.
I had kind of relayed this to someone when I was speaking to them earlier today. One of the phone calls I got in recommendation for support of this and the change of brick and mortar and the restriction to specific areas was that they want to have a big family reunion, but they don't want to cook. And under the current rules, they couldn't bring in a food truck and park it in the street technically and let it serve the community. So now would they be able to hire a food truck to serve their 50 family members and park it in front of their house?
Yes,
Okay.
because it removes the restriction of being
Brick and
in
mortar.
only downtown zone. So
Perfect.
they can operate anywhere with the restriction that the hours would be 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. outside of the downtown zone, which would be 8 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Perfect.
And then they also have to be permitted within the city of Winona.
The food truck needs a
Yep.
license, but that party wouldn't necessarily.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other discussion? I've heard only good things about this, so I'm super excited to be able to do this. I feel like to a certain degree, we're getting out of the way and we're allowing this to happen. And that's where it should have been maybe a few years ago. So anyway, we're looking forward to it. So any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 5.3 is an agreement with Walmart for the placement of 2 bus shelters on their property.
I, Michelle Alexander, make a motion to approve this agreement and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign. Second.
We have a motion by Michelle and a second from Eileen. Any discussion?
Mayor.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Monica, I just want to thank you for your continued efforts on this whole bus shelter issue. I know that working with the federal and state government, especially when trying to get grants and get approvals and get it all set up, is time consuming. And we've been pushing you on this for a long time. But man, I really think these bus shelters spread out throughout the community and additional places for people to sit while they're waiting is going to just be a boon. So thank you for all of your efforts, because I think in a short while we'll see the outcome and it's going to be wonderful for the community, especially for the bus users.
I very much echo that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I was just going to report, you may have seen some of the prep work being done just this week. So I anticipate the shelters will be going in starting in the next week, with hopefully the final completion by the end of August.
Excellent.
Mr. Mayor, could I ask you, what do we know about schedules? Is there anything going to be posted there? Is it going to be an electronic schedule that people can look up online, or what does that look like?
So when we have the main shelters in at the 2 new hubs, we will be changing the routes. We will be having signage at the shelters, as well as the new ones, as well as the old shelters.
All right, good. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah.
I just had a comment that I think we'll feel the full appreciation for these shelters in the winter. That's what people have to walk the furthest to get.
Or about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
And item 5.4 are the updated Minnesota Department of Transportation limited use permits.
I, Michelle Alexander, make a motion to approve the attached resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute the limited use permits.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle, a second from Eileen. George, go ahead.
Ryan, could you just give us just a brief update as to what we're all doing here?
So there's really not any change from the last limited use permits. The state basically just decided to change the language on them and required us to resign them. So the 3 that we are re-agreeing to or whatever are on the west end of town for one of the entrance signs and then 2 of our multi-use paths. But okay. Otherwise, there's really no change.
More or less just language.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, if I could ask, Ryan, is this just like an annual reauthorization or is this a change?
It's not yearly. I'd have to look at what it is. It's a certain amount of.
Every 18 months or 2 years, or we're back.
20 years we have to re-sign the permit. Okay. I don't know what that date is offhand though.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
The other need was the language.
Correct.
Yeah, there was some language changes that the state required us to make. So our attorney reviewed that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, comments? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 7.1 is council concerns.
We'll start with Councilmember Borzakowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there any way we could get shorter microphones? As I look across the table, all I see is these holders going across everybody's face.
They move real nice.
George,
wherever you like.
Okay.
They're flexible.
Oh, okay.
You just got to move it around.
All right. So, and I know Steve and I think we get some different views as we look down the table. So, all right. Thank you with that. First of all, if we could contact the railroad, I spoke with inspections today about the railroad cutting their share of grass. I know Caramona to Zumbro Street and Mark Street, that's quite high. Plus, I'm sure there's other areas around in town as well, too. It's good to see dredging in front of Dick's Marine again. He was there the last Thursday, Friday, today as well, too. And you can't believe the sand that he is bucketing out of that entrance. My God, there's a lot of it. So, and also now this time of year too, like for the new council members, it's our budget time, July and August. And there's a lot of pressure put on our city manager, our finance director, the department heads, as they try to bring us a balanced budget with a zero tax increase. So good luck to all of you as you start to work towards that budget. And also I'd like to just congratulate Tim and Mary Briza, former council member Tim Briza. on him and his wife's 50th wedding anniversary this past weekend. Very, very nice event. And also just like to just send out kind of, you know, a good thoughts to the Milamunka family as they continue with the health of Dieter. So just wish them well as they go down that road. So also a former councilman. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Councilmember Alexander.
Obviously, I'm going to promote KCC 2020. Our first relaunched event is July 31st. It is Schmingus Dingus Day, which is better known as Wet Monday. Usually takes place in April. Luckily for us, we couldn't meet in April, so we get to do it in July. It's a family-friendly event that's going to feature water balloon fights and giant slingshots and spray painting clothes and a whole bunch of fun activities. We're partnering with the Winona Library, doing a fundraiser for them, so come on down and support. One of the things they are asking is that you help bring items back in to restock the community cupboard, which is a well-used and well-loved item at the library. And then on August 1st, the very next day, we're having the first pet parade in Winona. It's called March of the Pomeranians, but any pet is welcome. It's $1 a leg, so if you happen to have a snake, you enter for free. If you have a 3-legged cat, it's $3. If you have a spider, I don't want you to come.
$8.
$8. But come on down, watch the kids. It's a costume parade. There's going to be the MCA is going to be there doing a craft. We're going to have Aaron Rapinski leading us in the fur ball with all animal themed music. We're going to have the pet parazzi is going to be there and take fashion shots of your pets. It should just be a day full of fun. Both days will have food vendors and artisans as well as merchandise from KCC to launch our sister city relationship with Poland. So we invite everyone to come on down. It should be a hoot. And we're always looking for judges, council people, and volunteers. So don't hesitate to throw on a schmuck and come on down and paint with some kids.
That's great. Thank you, Michelle. Councilmember Iden.
I'd like to talk tonight about trees. About trees, yes. I've been looking into the tree situation lately, especially regarding the emerald ash borer situation. We've lost a lot of trees in our city in the last 10 years, and others are maturing and being removed for a variety of reasons. I understand we are planting only about half the number that we are losing. Okay, and I'm sure there's some discussion about what the numbers are, but we're not planting as many as we're losing. And I think we can really do better than this. Winona loves its trees. The DNR has named us a tree city. So I think I'd like to ask city staff to put trees and tree maintenance back in next year's budget. Last October, the council cut the budget for treatment of emerald ash borer. I'd like to see that money put back in the budget just for replanting and for maintaining the trees. If we don't, our city is going to look very different in 10 years. And that's my request that the city staff look into ways to do that.
Thank you, Pam.
Just a clarification, just not for treating again.
Not for treating. I'm not talking about chemicals. I'm talking about planting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pam. Councilmember Moeller.
Nothing.
Okay. Councilmember Young.
Great news from the Great River Rail Commission. A week and a day ago, the governor signed the transportation bill, committing the $10 million that Minnesota needed to come up with to unlock the federal matching dollars. These are significant dollars that are going to be invested in our community. There will be a second train. There's a daily train from Chicago to St. Paul and Minneapolis. And there will now be a second daily train. If you're not into passenger rail, you can think of it this way. There will be $19 million of rail upgrades in the Winona area. We are led to understand it will significantly reduce wait time, especially at the Mankato crossing. And other crossings. There will be automated switching, track upgrades throughout Winona. Every single crossing will be touched and redone. The Amtrak station will be redone. There's a few people to thank. So this is done. This is done. The governor signed it. This is fantastic news. We've been celebrating. There's a few people to thank. My predecessor on the Great River Rail Commission, Paul Schomeyer, and Michelle Alexander. I understand that you served on that commission for a while as well. So thank you for the meetings. We had great support from our representative, Gene Pulowski, and Senator Jeremy Miller. So we thank them as well. They were instrumental in this, and we got it done, and we will see that infrastructure come to our community. It's historic. It's a big deal.
Absolutely. I'd like to thank you, Steve, for stepping in as a new council member. So I do appreciate that. And then, did they say anything about grass clipping down by Caramona?
Oh, I think the governor talked about that.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure.
He was in the bar the other night talking about it.
Yeah, that's right. He called me, in fact.
We'd also like to thank Leon for Machesky for all the help and advocacy that she's put in over the years. Absolutely. So yeah, we'll be reaching out to all the vested stakeholders and people who've helped over the years as well. So we'll make an official thank you to everybody. So awesome. Thanks again, Steve. You bet. Councilmember Rapinski.
Thank you, Mayor. Not much. Just want to thank George and a few other people that spoke to Bay State Milling and the railroad down there about the track crossings on the way down to the levee. It's not great, but it's definitely improved. They did do some work down there, and I think they plan on doing some more from what I understand. But just want to say thank you for that. Other than that, no other concerns.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aaron.
The next up is the consent agenda. There are 3 items: approval of the minutes from the June 21st meeting, the final adoption of an ordinance for removal of a parking stall on Mark Street, and a claim against the city by Lois Stark.
Move approval of that agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Michelle and a second from Eileen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
The time being 7:03, and there being no further business to come before the council this evening, we do now adjourn.
7:13. We'll make a quick correction.
Right.
That clock was slow.
This is why we need glasses.
Yeah.
Well,
I will second that.
It's like twice a day.
Okay. All right, 7:13. Forgive me.
I will second that.
Okay.
And a vote.
And a vote.
And a vote.
And a vote. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being in person. Appreciate it.